Bam. Okay, so first thing is first, if you wouldn't mind just muting your mics for me, that would be incredible. And then I know a couple of you have got your cameras on, which is sensational. Uh, if you wouldn't mind having your cameras on, that'd be bloody lovely, so I don't feel like I'm just staring at myself. And then I'm going to attempt to share my screen, so wish me luck. Um, okay, here we go. Here is one I prepared earlier. Right. So, present. Oh, bloody hell, lot of bloody buttons, isn't there? Here we go. Hang on. Present, present. Bam! We're in. Okay, cool. So, welcome to the Big Fat Free webinar. I'm so glad to see a few little faces here today. And all I wanted to do, I suppose the whole premise of today is to help as many people as humanly possible to get out of this yo-yo diet cycle that so many of us are in. I must speak to thousands of women each and every week, like on DMs and Messenger and chatting to people. And it is one of the biggest pain points that I hear about. Um, I lose weight and then I regain it. I lose weight and then I regain it. And people that have been doing it for flipping donkey's years. So that is what this webinar is here to try and address and to try and get as many of you out of as possible. So if I do this well, by the end of today, you should understand categorically what a calorie deficit is and how to utilize it. You should understand that you can lose weight in a balanced, flexible way without having to give up carbs, pina coladas, and the odd meal out. You should understand that strength training is utterly game changing. And I do not just mean for fat loss, but I mean for tone, health, longevity. And I'm going to be dramatic and say life happiness, that it genuinely changes people's lives. And therefore, understand how the dickens we get away from this start again on Monday madness that so many of us are stuck in. So that's the name of the game. And how I want to sum this up and categorize of it is doing fat loss right. That's just how I want to call it, that you're going to do fat loss and fitness right. You do it once, you do it right, and that is the end of it. Quick little 2 second bit about me in case I haven't met you before, and there's a few faces on here that I've never seen before. Hi. So this is just a little bit about me. That's me on the left, and that's me on the right too. I am a female fat loss, fitness, whatever you want to call me, coach, and I've been doing that for a lot of years now. Ex-secondary school teacher. I seem to just love any kind of educational teaching and then moved across to this. I work with my absolute partner in crime, Caroline, and she works alongside me with every lady in our team. We are every single day showing women how they lose weight, feel fit, feel healthy, but feel bloody fantastic. And that is what we want to help as many people to achieve as possible. So we call this the pain cycle, just because it sounds dead dramatic. But essentially, what I mean by that is either not losing the weight that you want to and hitting this plateau and feeling stuck, or losing weight, regaining, losing weight, regaining. Um, and lots of us actually started to question ourselves. I know that I did years ago when I was doing all these funky ass diets and I'd lose the weight and then I'd regain it and I'd think, well, there's something inherently wrong with me, either physically or mentally. I mean, there's probably a lot wrong with me mentally, but thinking there's a lot wrong with me physically, mentally. And actually, there's not. You don't need blood tests. There's nothing wrong with your body. You don't lack willpower. You've just not found the right thing that actually is for your little bod and your little lifestyle. You're trying to make a, what's the phrase? Square peg, match a round hole. You know what I'm trying to say. Um, and most diets, therefore, put you into the shitty yo-yo cycle. So if, for instance, I feel like Herbalife is going to get a lot of press today, but let's say Herbalife, right, for the sake of argument, because most people have heard of it. You drink all your shakes, you go balls to the walls, calories are super low, you cut out carbs, you're not going out for meals, you're living off iceberg lettuce and then funny little spinach leaves in bags. Then the cravings hit. you're super tired, you're like a shell of a woman, you're snapping at your kids, you've never hated your husband more, and then you end up having a blowout. Obviously, you're gonna scoff wine, crisps, probably all of that takeaway, and a bit of chow mein up the Chinese. It's all gone to utter shit. So then you feel really guilty, you promise you're gonna be good again on Monday, and you just then live in that cycle. Um, and that's why people get so disillusioned with fat loss that when I speak to women, they're like, oh, I just don't know if I can face it. I don't know if I can do another diet. Um, but that it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be so difficult, and it shouldn't mean giving up what you actually like and enjoy. So instead, what we want to do is to do fat loss and fitness right, you have to look at your lifestyle for the long term. So you have to have a plan that's going to work for the rest of your days. And if you want to drink herbal life shakes for the rest of your days, then fine, that's the right plan of action. But if you probably don't, or you don't want to do slimming world sins for the rest of your life, you have to look at how you eat. Like, do you like to eat, I don't know, brunch and then a late lunch and a late dinner, and you go out every Saturday with your partner? If so, that is how you need to build your fat loss plan so that you've actually got a cat and hell's chance of doing it. And that is why I'm probably, well, I'm not gonna, that was a bit of a claim then, say the biggest advocate. There's a lot of advocates for the calorie deficit, but that is why I utterly love it because it is built for normal people, people like us that still want to live normal human lives. And it means that you don't have to cut shit out. Everyone knows I love a pina colada, and everyone knows I love a Magnum, and I don't want to give either of those things up. And actually, a calorie deficit allows me to keep those things in my life, but just to a certain level. It gives me guidelines to work within. And I like to have guidelines. I like to know if I'm doing things right or wrong. And I think most people do. And that is why, if you are not already looking at a calorie deficit, that is the way that I would categorically tell you to go. Because A, you're guaranteed to get the fat loss if you follow it. And B, you're going to learn along the way, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to learn a lot about the foods that you like to eat. Lots and lots of problems that women have is they eat healthy. I don't know why I did that because it is healthy, but it's just too many calories. Like, all the avo on toast and nuts on this and nuts on that, and a porridge full of chia seeds. It's all sensational and it looks lush for photos, but it's super, super high in calories. And then you don't lose weight, and it all feels super confusing because you're not sat in a Mackey's drive-through, but actually you're still eating a lot of calories. Other problem is that women eat too few calories. So, salads for every single lunchtime, no carbs, and then it all goes to shit, and then we overeat. And actually, you'd have been better off just having a sandwich for your lunch every single day. It would have equaled less calories overall. And then finally, lots of women don't even really know what they should be eating in terms of portion size. We either underestimate, overestimate, and there's just so much guesswork. So instead, here is what's going to work. You need to find what your calorie target is. You have to know what you should be aiming for to give yourself a fighting chance of actually achieving it. If you do not know what your calorie deficit is, either pop it in the comments or message me on Instagram, macro calculator, and I will send you my free macro calculator. You can just go in, you give your information like height, weight, how active you are, all of that jazz, and it's going to tell you how many calories you need to eat. And then you've got a massive piece of the jigsaw done and dusted. Second thing you're then going to do is make sure you're eating enough protein, because if you are eating in a calorie deficit and not eating good food, then you are losing weight, but some of that will also be muscle, and you're going to end up in a bit of a shitter down the road. It's one of the biggest problems we got with ladies that are taking fat loss jabs, Manjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, all of that jazz. Is yes, lots of women are losing a lot of weight, but not necessarily fat. So yeah, they're losing some fat, but they're also losing a load of muscle. And then 6 months down the line, it's an absolute bite in the bum situation because it's bloody hard to function without muscle mass. Okay, so find your calorie target, eat enough protein, and then actually just eat food you like. Sounds flipping obvious, but very few people are actually doing it in a diet. People are eating weirdy shit like egg white omelets for breakfast that they actually hate. And there's no point because if you don't enjoy your food, you're not going to stick to it. And again, you'll end up back in the cycle. MyFitnessPal. If you are going to track calories, highly recommend it. It's free, it's super easy to use. It's got most of the places, like I've now can't think of one high street place. Costa. It's got like everywhere on there. Oh, and if you're gonna eat like HelloFresh, that's in there. You can just type it in. So it makes it super, super easy. But do not use the calories they give you because they're super shitty low and you won't be able to stick to it. And do not allow it to give you calories back for exercise, because you don't want to get down that track where you're going on the elliptical cross trainer just so that you can eat a Freddo later, because I think that leaves us all a little bit loopy-loo. So to recap, nutrition, calorie deficit. You're going to message me if you don't already know, macro calculator, and you're going to find out how many calories you should eat. You're going to eat a nice bit of protein. You're going to make sure that you're eating food that you like, and then you're going to start tracking it on MyFitnessPal because it's super, super easy. Hang on, I got to admit people in, bear with me, because it's super, super easy. And then what I would do, because a lot of us hit overwhelm, like very few people in life have easy breezy lives. Lots of us have got kids, partners, jobs, I don't know, a million and one other things going on. So what we don't want is overwhelm and to try and implement 25 million things at once. So the very first thing I would do is get the calorie deficit and just start tracking your food. Eat the stuff you're already eating, but just eat to the number of calories. Let's say you got 1600 calories. If you're eating eggies on toast, ham sandwich, and lasagna for dinner, you carry on eating them things, but just make sure that you track them to the right amount of calories. Okay, so you're just going to do that one thing for the first couple of weeks until tracking.
Daniel, please turn it down.
Hey, could you please just make sure you mute yourself if you are in? So if you can make sure that you are muted, that'd be awesome. Um, so yeah, that's all you're going to do for the first couple of weeks because then there's no sense of overwhelm. Once you've mastered that and you then find tracking quite easy, you're then going to go up. If you can imagine like a hierarchy, or you can imagine, um, Neve, would you do Neve O'Connell, would you do me a favour? Mute yourself, please. Let's see if we can mute you. Okay. I don't have good Zoom skills, so I don't know if I'm even going to be able to do this. No. Um, no, we'll just have to hope that Neve hears us and mute. Um, Let me go back to present. Um, okay, so that's the first thing that you're going to do is you're just going to get the skill. Second thing you're going to do is you then assess the type of food that you are eating. I have to try and figure out anything. Neve, can you hear me?
What is this?
Neve, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you please mute yourself? Uh, okay, I think she's muted. Okay, so you're then going to look at the type of food that you are eating. So you're going to reduce the amount of processed food, cereals, granolas,
Thank you. It's lovely.
all
Thank you to Dad.
foods, and instead you are going to focus on whole foods. I'm just going to pause it for 2 seconds because this is going to drive you.
That's not yours. What?
Let's
I have some hair for you. I have some colors.
Ah, I've done it, everybody. I am the queen of IT. Okay, let me go back here. Sorry, everybody, for that, but I can't I know they say women can multitask. I feel like I cannot. Now you're going to look at the amount of food, processed food that you're eating. Okay, so you're in your pyramid. You've got the first scale ticked off. You are now tracking. You're eating to your right calories. You little Bobby Dazzler, go up a notch. Now you are going to reduce the amount of protein food, processed food that you are eating on a day-to-day basis. Instead of your granolas and your cereals, you're going to be eating your Greek yogurts and your oats. Your little Bobby Dazzler again, you've now go up the next notch on the pyramid. And the next progression is that you're going to look at how much protein that you're eating. Now, at the moment, everyone seems laser focused on protein, that they're kind of putting that above everything else on our little skills pyramid. So it means that if you skip them steps and you just try and focus on protein, everyone's up Aldi buying all the protein pancakes, they're buying all the protein yogurts, protein cheese, protein wraps, but it's all so processed and you've skipped those steps. So I would so rather that you ate in a deficit, cleaned up what you're eating and had some lovely whole food. The next step is then to increase protein with the whole foods that you are already eating. Fish, white fish, salmon, turkey, beef, mince, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, anything that you are going to eat that's a whole food and contains protein, that is when you start to bump it. And that's when you shape your meal around the protein source. And that will then mean that you can hit 13 grams of protein with each and every meal in a really lean, natural way that will be pea easy and it won't leave you feeling all bloated and a little bit, farty. No one wants to be farty from protein, which is what's going to happen if you start hammering bloody protein bars and shakes and yogurts and God knows what else. So, this is all part of the doing it right. Get the foundations correct, go up the levels and you'll get to a really, really nice place. Once you've gone past protein, you've got that locked in, then you can have a little look at supplementation. Are you taking creatine? Do we need to consider some vitamin D? But they all go up in little panels. Don't be tempted to just come in and get down Holland and Barrett and buy every, supplement they got. Just do it bit by bit. Okay, does anyone have any questions on nutrition thus far? You can either be Billy Big Balls and unmute yourself and ask it here, or if you want to put it in the chat, God knows how I get to the chat. Let me give you a second if anyone's got any questions on nutrition, anything at all. If you put it in the chat, I got no idea. Let me figure it out. Bear with me, callers. Oh, I think I go up here, do I? Chat. If you right click on the, oh damn it, Sarah B. If only I would have opened that 10 minutes ago, you would have saved me a lot of distress. Thank you for that. I should have made you my little admin or something. Okay. I'm going to assume, because no one's typing, that we've got no questions. I have had about 4 or 5 that people have typed in that can't watch this live, and I will, if you're watching this now, recorded, I will cover those, but I'll just do them at the end. Okay, cool. So back to it. Let's now say you've got your nutrition dialed in, right? You're eating good whole foods, smashing out a calorie deficit. You've got a nice little bit of protein on the go. You're starting to feel good. People are starting to notice you're getting a little bit leaner, less fluffy around the edges. Marv. Now you've done that, next thing to start thinking about is how you move your body in the most effective way humanly possible. And the way in which you are going to do that is going to be strength training, because that is the thing that ticks off most people's genuine end goals. I've gone through it each time in terms of biggest mistake, but I think it's really helpful because often you'll hear it and you think, shitter, that's what I'm doing. And the biggest mistakes when it comes to exercise is women doing loads of classes. Now, whether that be like high intensity or Zumba, or they know that strength training is good, so they're doing Les Mills and bums and tums, and then women doing lots of cardio. They're the two problems that often mean that women do not get the outcome that they would like or actually they deserve for the effort that they're putting in. We get women joining our team that are doing like 5, 6, 7 classes a week, but they're still 3 stone overweight and their body hasn't really changed. And it's really, really frustrating for them because they're putting in the hard yakka and not getting the return. And the reason for that is that in order to get your body to change shape, so we hear lots about tummies, right? That we want to lose belly fat and we want to get things a bit flatter. Or you want to get rid of your bingo wings and for your arms to feel a bit toned. The only way that is going to happen is you have to stimulate your muscles enough that you ask them to break down and you ask them to grow back stronger. That's it. There's no other possible way around it. There's no shortcut. There's nothing else you can do. And the only way you're going to do that is by put consistent load through those muscle groups. And that is a term known as progressive overload. And you are not going to get that regardless of what Les Mills strength training class you're doing with a group of other people. Okay, this is what we mean by one-to-one, your own dedicated plan of action where you're mincing around the gym, or you can do it from home, but that you're increasing reps and you're increasing weight and you're constantly asking those muscles to work harder. And that is what is going to give you the snatched waist. Um, I've always suffered with what me and mum call a rabbit bum. I don't know if that's even a well-known term, is it? You know, when you just got no bum whatsoever? Pancake bum, people call it. And that's what's going to give you a little bit of junk in the trunk. I now have mild junk in the trunk. I can fill a pair of jeans now. And that would never have come through cardio classes. Um, and strength training works for fat loss because if you can get some muscle mass on your frame, really metabolically active. Okay, you can chill, watch Emmerdale, and still be burning calories, and you will feel good doing it. If you ever been for a run and you feel absolutely knackered, and all you want to do is eat because you've burnt calories, you don't get that feeling from strength training. So it's much easier to maintain a calorie deficit. If you guys are post 35 like I am, watching this is going to protect your joints, keep your bones strong. You are setting yourself up for how you're going to be in old age. And I don't want to be some little old bird in the corner where everyone's bringing cream teas. Like I still want to be rocking around, necking a gin in my 80s and 90s and everyone rolling their eyes at great grandma. And I get to be that person by how I act now and by what I put in place now. And it's gonna boost your metabolism, so that keeping weight off is gonna be a hell of a lot easier. Out of interest, actually, I'm gonna go back to my chat because now I know how. Can you put a one in the chat if you are already strength training? I said I know how to get to the chat. Oh, here we go. Sarah B, let's go. Sarah's already strength training. Is anybody else already strength training? Come on, don't be shy. Tell me, talk to me, be my friend. Do stuff with Pilates. Yeah, so go on, Leanne. Yeah, so Pilates is flipping awesome in terms of mobility and like mind muscle connection. So when you're led there and you're doing a lot of like the small muscle groups and you're thinking about activating, for instance, your glutes, yeah, that's great. But it's not strength training. So it's not going to do what we discussed in terms of sorry, I got distracted because someone managed to draw on the screen. I don't even know how to do that. It's not gonna break down your muscle fibers and ask them to grow back stronger. So if one of your primary goals is to build muscle mass to look leaner and more toned, it won't get you there. Um, but yes, Michelle, come on, bring on the weights. Okay, cool. So if you compare um, I need to press my little present again, don't I? If you compare strength training with a calorie deficit, by Jove, that is where things really rock and roll for you because now you've brought everything together. Your fat mass is coming down through nutrition, and now your muscle mass is coming up through strength training. And that's how you are left looking athletic and toned and fit and happy and healthy. So that's where we want to be. And these are just a few examples, right? Because often what I hear a lot is, oh, if I do strength training, I'm going to become bulky. No, that's like me saying I'm not going to start running because I might accidentally become an Olympic sprinter. It just ain't going to happen. And this is why I've put these up because you can see, right, all of these women on my screen are strength training, and not one of them little buggers is what you would describe as bulky. They all look much leaner than when they began. They all look much toned, really nipped in. You see big differences in terms of cellulite because you're stripping away a lot of that fat from underneath the surface. Where this really convenient blue line is that I don't know how it came on my screen. It starts at Tanya. Tanya, busy pharmacist, couple of kids, super low point when she joined, like mentally, physically, the whole lot. Thought she hated exercise. Now it's like her sanity place. She actually goes to the gym. She loves it. She will be the first one to tell you she actually feels happy, and before she genuinely didn't. Because no matter how busy you've been, going to the gym or picking up a pair of dumbbells at home isn't this highly intense thing like jumping around your room is. It's a really nice energy burn. Um, I honestly think that I would be a less sane person if I didn't exercise, and that's kind of pretty much everyone that I know. Okay, so simple fat loss problem, right? The three biggest problems, numero one, is nutrition. People either think they know what to do and they don't. I hate to be the the breaker of bad news. They think they are eating healthily and therefore they will lose weight, and they don't, because healthy and fat loss isn't the same thing. So nutrition, don't know what to eat, they don't know how much of it to eat, and they don't know how to eat and still live life. Okay, so first thing that we do to help is called confident nutrition. We teach people about calories, protein, macros, and we teach you how to eat flexibly so that you can make it work anywhere, anytime, no matter what you're doing. Second biggest problem that women have is that they do not understand what effective exercise means. They think it means going to lots of classes, going to cardio, going out for a run, bloody couch to 5K. The amount of women that are trying to get that toned and they're out doing couch to 5K. So, second pillar, we're going to teach everybody effective exercise. Short, structured strength training to change the shape of your body to make you feel energized, fit, strong, healthy, nice little peachy bum, all the things that most of us want. Third biggest problem, and this was mine for donkey's years, is that we approach things with short-termism. That we just think, oh, holy shitballs, I'm going up Mallorca a couple of months' time. I best just get a few stone off no matter what it is I have to take to do it. And I'm going to go out running 5 times a week and I'm just not going to eat carbs. Um, and it's just not got any legs in it. So the second you come back from Mallorca, you've smashed up the all-inclusive, you're absolutely buggered, and now you eat everything in sight and you think, well, I may as well deal with it after Christmas. And after Christmas, you're now 3 stone heavier than you've ever been before in your life. Instead, what we do is a lasting lifestyle, changes to your habits, your mindset, and your routines, so that you get rid of this tire slashing mentality, all in, all out, shake it all about, all of that shite. Um, and if there is one thing that any of you can take from this today, it is please, please, please do not chase quick fixes. Um, do it right, do it once. If you can get the fundamentals of good nutrition and strength training and not beating yourself up because you had a margarita, you will never ever feel like you're ever on another diet ever again. Because it will be easy and it will be sustainable. So if right now you feel like, one of them dung beetles pushing one of them big old balls of dung up a hill, if you feel like that, quite a niche analogy, if you feel like that, whilst trying to lose weight, you're not doing it right, because it should be pretty straightforward and actually pretty easy to fit into your lifestyle. Yes, you might have to say no to the second or third or fourth Freddo, but other than that, there's not many sacrifices. To do it right and do it once. Um, that is, in a nutshell, pretty much everything I wanted to cover with everybody today. Obviously, I want to take the opportunity, whilst I've got some of you here, that if you have been nodding along and thinking, do you know what? This is what I need, and actually I am stuck in a rut with this. If you're a, brave soldier, feel free to put a message in the group chat, or you can come onto Instagram and talk to me individually, and we can have a chat one on one and figure out what it is that you would like to do moving forwards. Does anybody have any questions on anything that I have covered? Like, fire them at me, get them in the group chat. More questions, the better. Or unmute yourself, just like Neve did for half my presentation. Uh, Let me go into my notes as well. Hopefully, you can still see my screen. Here we go. These are some of the things, the messages that I had to remember to cover. Exercise strategies for perimenopause. So, if you are in perimenopause, it does not change anything that I covered in as much as strength training. Strength training is going to be the single biggest needle mover if you're in perimenopause. Without teaching lots of you to suck eggs, because you probably already know this, if you are if you have gone into perimenopause, you don't really understand why your weight is creeping up because you're not eating anything differently. It's because your muscle mass is starting to decrease, which means that that muscle is now less metabolically active. So you can now eat less food in order to maintain. If you don't change your diet and you don't do anything about your lack of muscle, therefore you start to eat in a calorie surplus and your weight will slowly creep up. That cycle will just get worse and worse as you go further into perimenopause and you go further into menopause because your muscle mass will continue to decrease. So you have to tackle that head on and you have to get some muscle mass on your frame and you will therefore solve the problem. Everyone's a winner. Lovely, lovely. How to tone up if you're happy with your body weight. If you do not want to lose body fat, but you want to gain muscle, then you are going to lift heavy weights in the gym and you're going to eat in calorie maintenance. If you're a badass, you might want to go a little bit into surplus, just to allow your body to have more calories to more easily gain muscle. Michelle, menopause, evil, nasty thing. Shifting that way, the urge just, yeah, absolutely flipping horrific. Anything to do with hormones is hard, right? So even when we have back in the day, like your monthlies, and that made you want to crave carbs and sugar and everything else. And it's kind of like that disruption on steroids. But it is a mixture of those two things. So when your muscle mass decreases and you're eating the same, you're going to put weight on. And what is a real horrible little bugger is because you've lost more muscle mass, you're now more tired than you ever were before. And without knowing it, if you're not tracking, you actually now move less than you ever did before. So it's literally like this perfect shitstorm. You move less, you eat the same, and you're not eating junk, but you've got less muscle mass. So your weight's now ballooning, and you're just stuck in this horrible, horrible cycle. And you're so tired, you crave bread, carbs, junk. So it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, what was my other question on here? How to stay consistent and track without measuring everything forever. If you're tracking food forever, shit's gone wrong because the whole purpose of a calorie deficit in tracking is it's a short term means to an end. So you don't track for the rest of your life. I like this question actually because if anyone's watching this, don't you just track for a short term, right? It's like a bank robbery. Think of tracking like a bank robbery. You get in, you get out, and you don't go back to the scene of the crime. So you're going to track your food to get all that weight off you. Then you're going to track at what you now think your maintenance calories are at to make sure you've got it right and that your body weight doesn't move too much. Once you know that you've got your calories right and they get eaten at maintenance, you then just wean it off slightly. So if you struggle on a weekend binge, keep tracking on the weekends for a little bit longer. And then once you get to the point where you're really happy, you're confident, you can eyeball a plate of food and kind of know where you are, bam, you stop tracking, you never go back to that bugger ever again. So please don't think this is for life. This is a short-term means to an end. Nutrition is definitely my issue. What are your cupboard staples so you always have a quick and easy meal? So do you know what I think is one of the most easiest things are this isn't a cupboard though, Sarah B. So I think I've scammed you a little bit because it's a fridge, but it's a rotisserie chicken. And we always make sure we got rotisserie chickens for like once a week. I also will get a whole raw chicken and I put it in the slow cooker. We've got two slow cookers. I put one chicken in the slow cooker in the morning before everyone leaves the house on our busiest day. And then I'll put a load of raw jacket potatoes in the other slow cooker. So that then when everyone comes home from school, work, gym, whatever it is that they're doing, oh my God, it's so easy. Few frozen peas at the freezer, your chicken's ready, your jacket potatoes are ready, everyone can just dish up and rock and roll. They're some of the biggest things that really, really help. And then once you can do that, you can shred it all up, put it in the fridge, and then you can make it into things like wraps, etc. And it's so easy. Um, so you start eating the right things, you're doing your weight training, straight training a few times a week. What about the 9 p.m.? Oh, it's me time slot, telly is on, you have the munchies. What are your distraction techniques? Yeah. So you only really need them in the short term when you're in fat loss, because when you get into maintenance, you've got a few more calories and you will be able to, once or twice a week sit with the kids or whoever you want to sit with and have a few normal munchies like Bang& Maltesers. Um, the game changers for me, they sound shit, but I promise they're actually all right. Fizzy water. Sometimes if I feel absolutely wacky with a little bit of squash in it, because it's just something in your mouth that tastes different that livens it up. Icy poles, sugar-free icy poles, are absolute bangers. Just cordial and squash in general. All of those things are massive. Caroline's. weirdly, is she cleans her teeth. So I do those types of things, and Caroline just goes and cleans her teeth because once you clean your teeth, you don't want to eat anything because it's minging. What supplements do you take, recommend, especially for in perimenopause? I hear such contrasting info. Yeah, so this is exactly what I was saying before, Sarah, about the pyramids. So what I would say, blanket rule, is whoever you are, whatever your situation, you're listening to this, creatine. Every woman on the planet, you would recommend creatine too. Not just be, it's a naturally occurring why can't I think of the word I'm looking for? Product in your body. And all you're doing is just giving yourself a little bit more of it because it's all often lacking. It's incredible, ironically, because I just forgot my words, for brain fog, which is huge for women in perimenopause. And it's also just going to help get some water basically to the site of your muscles, which is going to help with recovery training, help you to lift a little bit heavier when you're in the gym. You get more bang for your buck. So creatine, absolute, no doubt about it. Everybody should be taking it. Perimenopause, one of the big things is magnesium to take before bedtime. And there's two types of magnesium. Citrate, glycinate, everyone says I'm different. I don't really say things correctly very often, but citrate, glycinate, you want to be looking at the glycinate because that is going to help with your sleep, which is often a big concern for not just women in perimenopause, but women in general. We also tend to exhibit quite a lot of problems with gut health when we move into perimenopause. Lots of women are constipated or they're going more often than usual. If you actually take your dose of magnesium before bedtime, lots of women find that it gives them more regularity to their toilet habits too. They wake up, poop in the morning, and that's fine and done. So 100% I'd be looking at those. If you live in the UK, vitamin D, because I know it's sunny at the moment, but you ain't going to get enough throughout the year that you will be lacking in vitamin D. So those are the three massive ones that I would focus on for every single woman in the UK, I suppose, because of vitamin D. The rest, you have to then think, what problem are you trying to solve? So when you say like perimenopause in general, you have to look at what problems. So sleep and gut health, magnesium, fatigue, vitamin D. So you kind of then have to think about what you're trying to solve. If you're considering collagen, again, ask yourself why. Like, what is it going to solve potentially? Because I would argue that you could probably knock off a lot of those benefits. Weight loss is what lots of people talk about. Good skin, hair, nails through good nutrition. So I would do the basics first and then come back to anything else. I started taking kombucha. Somebody told me to try it. It's really nice. It's supposed to be good with gut. I love good with nice and it's like, yeah, I like a bit of kombucha, you know. I can't think what the name of the company is. It do them in the little flavored tinnies with no sugar and stuff. But yeah, kombucha's great. Again, gut health. Gut health is absolutely huge. If it's you can go down a rabbit hole with it. If I don't know if it's just me, when you go out and you have a couple of too many pina coladas on a night out, and the next day, oh my Lord, the fear, the horrific fear. What did I say? To who? What did I do? Anxious. Even if you know you're beautifully, exemplary behaved, the fear takes over. And actually, it's because serotonin is made in our gut that calms our body and it tells us that everything's all right. You're in a good spot. Once you go out boozing, your gut's got more important things to do than produce serotonin. So instead, it takes over trying to detoxify your bod. And therefore, your levels of serotonin fall, which is why in the morning you get all those crazy anxious feelings of like, dear Lord, what's happened? So gut health is important not just for fat loss, fitness, but genuinely keeping yourself sane and healthy through some of the biggest hormonal shifts that we will see ever, ever, ever. So we do have to look after our gut hugely, and kombucha is bang a langing, but so is the food that we eat. If you can eat good whole foods, you'll get incredible results with gut health and how you feel. Um, Last question, in case there's any others, because I don't want to chat your poor little ears off. Has anybody got anything? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Right, I think we're in a good spot. Okay. Look, thank you so, so much to everybody that joined. I really, really hope that you took value from it. And if anybody has any questions after this, I'm happy to help as much as I humanly can. If you want to drop me any messages on Instagram, please feel free and have a bloody lovely weekend, everybody. Bye.